essentially what you're saying is that you may not end up in hospital, but you are accepting that the level of efficacy of your vaccines against the UK or the South African strain is lesser than the original strain which we were dealing with earlier.
Let me rephrase. No vaccine, whether it's Pfizer, Moderna, Oxford, AstraZeneca, is preventing more than 20–30% of the people who get it or are exposed to COVID-19 from getting the disease. They experience mild to moderate disease. So there is no vaccine, sadly, on the planet today for COVID-19 that prevents the person getting the disease. In some cases, yes, it does prevent it if it's not a heavy infection, but in most cases, we've seen you've got Covishield or the Pfizer vaccine or so many other vaccines globally, you still get the disease, but 95% of the time you don't go to the hospital. Now, hopefully, we're going to see this trend continue even for the UK variants and for the South African variants. So far, what I can say with confidence is I have not seen anyone getting the UK variant disease who has been vaccinated and still ending up in hospital. So far that is the silver lining, but to conclude this beyond reasonable doubt, we should wait at least another month or two till we see enough people getting the UK variant as a disease who have been vaccinated and then observing how severe the disease progresses in their body. Now, that's when we can really conclude beyond reasonable doubt that these vaccines today are able to protect against these variants.
I don't know if you've seen, but there's a video clip of yours that's gone viral, which is from a past interview that we've done with you about the period between the two doses, where you'd said that the maximum efficacy is on the back of a gap of 12 weeks. At that point in time in India, the gap between the two doses was supposed to be 28 days. Now the government has increased that further to 6 to 8 weeks. At this moment, Adar Poonawala, on the back of all the data that you have access to, how much should be the ideal gap between dose 1 and dose 2?
You're putting me in an awkward spot, but I'll try to answer it as correctly as I can. Now, the data globally has proved that the longer the period, and this was proven in the trials that we all knew, sadly, it was communicated in a slightly confusing manner, and that's why, there was all that doubt. Most vaccines, the longer gap you keep, it gets your body an opportunity to develop antibodies in a different way, and you don't block yourself in the first shot. I could explain this in detail, but perhaps not today on this show. The point here I'm trying to make, I stand by that statement. And as the Indian regulator sees more data, and it wouldn't be fair for me to make a statement and then say, oh, why is the Indian regulator not doing it? They need to see the data coming about, which they are, and that is why, the committees that decide on these things, rightly so, increase the gap, from the original gap that you mentioned was there, between 4 weeks and now it's 8 weeks. And we're slowly, as we get more data in India as well, and other places, going toward that 3-month gap that I had originally hoped that we would have here as well, but we're moving toward that, in that direction.
So just to
that's as best as I can answer that.
Rephrase what you've told our viewers in a very diplomatic way, Adar Poonawala essentially suggesting that the ideal gap from his perspective between dose 1 and dose 2 is 3 months, even though the government's moved it up to 6 to 8 weeks from the 28 days.
And they're moving in that direction.
Sure.
They're moving slowly with data, which is the right way. Look, I mean, tomorrow, any manufacturer or anyone may say, this is the way it should be. But we must respect our regulator who wants to go on data and proof and evidence.
Sure. So we've had cases, Adar Poonawala, in our office where people got vaccinated and subsequently they ended up with COVID. Now, when that happens, people wonder, so you said that it will take about 15 days for immunity to start building. By 28 days, you have strong immunity, about 70% immunity is already built up. Now, a month has passed since these people took the dose, and yet they end up COVID positive. And when that happens, everybody else wonders, hey, is Adar's vaccine working at all?
Very good. I'm so happy you asked that. So, as I explained earlier, that's why I called it Covishield. It's not a bulletproof vest. Imagine if you're shot with a gun The bullet, when it hits your bulletproof vest that is supposed to protect you and save your life, is only a shield. It's still going to cause you some damage, bruising, maybe you might even break a rib, right? But you are not going to die. And hopefully that is the case, and that is now being shown as an evidence. And what is that? It protects you against severe disease, which can threaten your life 94–95% of the time, even after one dose, right? And you can look at the data which is coming out with Covishield will give you that protection. In fact, today, everyone from the time January to now, and now we've spent 3 months, you know, you've got I don't know how many crore people, more than 4 or 5 crore Indians that have received one dose. Let us now observe and see that are they being hospitalized or not.